get the minerals and resources of that country. Do you think that's true, especially in a case, again, as I'm going back to that case of Israel selling arms even in this situation, and it's very unapologetic about that?
Well, the fact of the matter is very clear that there is a competition between China and United States and the West, who is going to be influential in Myanmar and benefit from the resources and the economy. That is a fact, and this is one of the contributors. But when it comes to the State of Israel has always supported the oppressors against oppressed. I mean, look at the way that they are taking the Daesh injured into Israel and putting back together and sending them out to kill more and slaughter more innocent people. I mean, you know, we shouldn't be expecting anything more than that from this Zionist entity. But the fact of the matter is they are committing a crime of genocide by supporting the genocide. According to international law and Geneva Convention, anyone who supports and accommodates genocide taking place is actually committing genocide itself. By selling arms to a government which is committing genocide so clearly and so openly and so publicly and so unashamedly, then that is committing genocide, and State of Israel is indeed guilty of committing genocide.
Mr. Dean, I wanted to talk about Canada because, you know, that's not spoken of a lot in this case. But Canada, you know, it spoke and has always supported Aung San Suu Kyi, called her the lady, and a number of years ago it bestowed honorary citizenship upon her. And now the Canadian government, there's a petition out pressuring the Canadian government to rescind that honorary citizenship. The Canadian government has not yet made its intentions clear, but likely it will not go along with that. What exactly do you think it is that's making the Western government stand by Suu Kyi, even in this case, even when she has called these people who are pretty much being persecuted terrorists, saying that this is all misinformation that is coming out, an iceberg of misinformation, were her exact words?
Well, I think countries always hate to own up to having backed the wrong horse. And it's really a sad case. I was one that had really cheered her career. She lived under house arrest for so long when you had the junta in power. And it was quite a wonderful day when she was freed and she walked out and she ended up being head of her country. But that has turned in 180 degrees. It looks now like the military, what they did is they put her in as a figurehead, knowing that she was going to be the key that was going to unlock Western aid coming in and helping develop the country, of which, of course, the generals in situations like that and their families always end up very, very wealthy. So they've had kind of a dirty dance with Mrs. Kyi. She's been the front woman to the regime, and we're seeing now that the hard, cold steel side of that regime never left. It's still there. Of course, the record of the oppression for the Rohingya people is on there for all to see. And it's not that she's just saying nothing now. She's never really said anything. She's never threatened to resign or really do anything. So it really begs the question, who are these people who are handing out these awards, you know, with blank checks, that there's no obligation for how people's conduct in the future in terms of their being rescinded, which I think is a very good idea. So the rest of the whole world, they just say, hey, if these big institutions with all of their funding and all of their prestige, if they can't do anything to stop this, what can I do? So you get this fatalistic attitude that it's something that's happening to someone else on the other side of the world, and there's nothing I can do about it. And that defeatism is what the deep state loves to instill in the population, that there's nothing that they can really do about it, so they should just go about their business and forget about it.
Mr. Shajare, as you well know, when we speak about Suu Kyi, there is an effort to try to be apologetic for her in the sense of try to explain the fact that she may be in a precarious political situation. As Mr. Dean there put into context, yes, the military junta is still very much still in power, and she's just a pretty face really for this military junta. Do you think, Mr. Shajare, she really making these decisions on her own, or is she just trying to compromise a difficult situation?
No, I think for those of us who have been studying and the situation of Myanmar and the plight of the Rohingyas, we know that even when she was in house arrest, when she was asked about Rohingya Muslims, she turned around and said they are nothing to do with Myanmar and they're not citizens. So the position she's taking is not because of the pressure she's on. She's, as a matter of fact, very Islamophobic and very sort of using the politics of otherness for bonding the rest of the country together. And this is exactly the policies that Nazis use, or it was used in former Yugoslavia against the Muslims, Bosnian Muslims. I think what we need to sort of really understand also is that, you know, around 5 years ago, we were saying that if we could sort of show the rest of the world what is the real plight of the Rohingya Muslims, then there will be a change. If everybody understands what's going on, there would be a change. Now, today, everybody knows what's going on. No one could actually play ignorant, neither in Myanmar or indeed outside. But, you know, they still are supporting this oppression against the ordinary innocent people. And I think there is a consequences to this. There is a consequences. I remember many people during the time of the Bosnia were radicalized. I don't want to use radicalization, but it had an impact, psychological impact on them, that they felt that the only way forward is the rule of jungle, because that's the only thing they're receiving. And they're on the receiving end of the rule of jungle. And then we are giving a wrong education to the young Muslims, be it in Myanmar or elsewhere, that no one will care. They don't think that they're human, and they're going to be treated in this barbaric way, and international community will not lift a finger to do anything. And what is left for them to do? Mm-hmm. This is, you know, this is going to create problem for us in years to come.
Okay, gentlemen, we'll have to leave it there at that, but of course we do appreciate both of your contributions to this discussion. That was managing editor and columnist at Veterans Today, Mr. Jim W. Dean, who had been speaking to us live from Atlanta, and we were also joined by the head of the Islamic Human Rights Commission, Mr. Masood Shajare, who had been speaking to us live from London. And of course, viewers, we appreciate you joining us as well. Until next time, good night.